All right, good afternoon, everybody. It is Jay again, and spring has sprung. So we are getting all kinds of beautiful fruit out in the garden, and today I want to show you real quick about how we plant a stone fruit here in Arizona, and this happens to be one of my favorite varieties. So this is called a Florida Prince peach, and you can see that this one is already completely loaded up full of fruit, as they generally are here. This is an excellent fruit tree, and I would say probably the best peach stone fruit for the valley. So I wanted to just show you guys this because I'm asked about this question quite a lot, about how I plant my stone fruit trees and how I get them so big so quickly and fruiting and bearing such heavy fruit without losing any fruit or any blossoms or any branches. I just have a really good success rate on stone fruits. As you can see in my yard, I've got probably well over 50 stone fruits of different varieties, and they are all completely full of fruit. So I want to show you my method here on planting these, because I'm doing this planting for a client, and you guys can now kind of see what I do on these. So I wanted to start here with the whole size. So this is a peach, and this started as a 15-gallon. This came in a 15-gallon pot. Lay everything here so you guys can kind of see how everything looks. So the tree came in a 15-gallon here, and you see how we dig the holes for these. So the hole was dug, it's probably right about twice the pot. So you've got the pot size there, and then we've dug a pot width on one side, and we've dug a pot width on the other side. Okay, so your width is critical. Now your depth isn't as important, because I've noticed that any roots that are going to go down, any kind of taproot style roots, well, they're going to go down and they're going to penetrate the soil, so they don't need quite so much depth. So I've got it definitely, you know, the pot depth, and then maybe a little bit more, maybe half that or a little bit less. And then sometimes, depending on where I'm at in the drainage, sometimes I'll put rocks down in the bottom of that hole, because that'll help create a little bit of extra drainage down at the bottom of the hole. It just depends on the property. Each one's planted a little bit different, because everybody here in the valley has different soils. Some are clay, some are rocky, some are just pure rock, some you have to use dynamite on. So some you can't dig quite as big as you want, and that's okay. You're just trying to get about a year's worth of growth on these trees, and so this is probably a generally good guideline here. So you see you've got a shovel across here. Like I said, your width is very important, and you can see that the berm actually extends, you know, another foot past the shovel, which will then be dressed with mulch. So mulch will be on this outside ring, and that's where it's very important. It's not important in here, because you've got the compost in here, and the roots are underneath the ground, and then the canopy is of course covering those roots also. So it stays nice and cool in here, and you don't want to get any kind of funguses or any kind of collar rot or any kind of canker diseases into the stone fruit tree anyway. So another thing you're going to have to do is you're going to have to expose the root flare on the tree. So you see all these roots that are up here on top, and it may look like they're not supposed to be there, but these are what's called mulch roots or adventitious roots. And the actual first true root starts right here. You can see a big root here coming off the root flare. So that's the part that I want to see. All these were up into the mulch, and these need to dry and fall off, because these shouldn't be here anyway. Like I said, these are adventitious mulch roots from when the planter puts, the pot will start to sink into the ground, and then the nursery, they'll just put more soil back in on top instead of repotting the plant. So it starts to bury the trunk, and the graft and everything else starts to get buried. So you can see that where I got this plant at today, it was a little bit high. It was up to here, the soil line. And so we took that soil line down, and we took a hose, because I didn't want to pull on these with anything sharp. I took a hose and I furrowed all the dirt out away from the roots until I found the actual first root and the root flare. So I know I want that part to be either at grade or slightly above grade, so that I've got good drainage, and that trunk's never going to get buried by any mulch or compost as you start to feed the tree. So I guess this kind of looks like a double It's kind of like a double donut, I guess. We've got the flat from the grade. We've got the little bit of a berm there. Then we go flat again. And then I'm going to fill this in with compost. So this is, right now, this current mix is 50-50 compost. This is 50% my compost, and this is 50% native soil, is what this mix is here. And then as I get to a certain height, about the last, 1 or 2 inches, then I'll put just straight compost on that. Then that'll come out here and it'll touch the mulch, which will be on this berm that sits out here. So now you can see that you can water this tree with an incredible amount of water, because you've got a 4-foot, you basically got a 4-foot diameter ring, and where the water is going to be going is out here, about where the pot ends, all the way out to the edge here. So that'll get an incredible amount of water that fills this tree well, and then it'll sink down without getting this flare wet and causing any kind of rotting or color rot issues on the flare. So we'll get nice drainage away from that tree and into the nice soil that I use. Like I said, I use my own compost, because if you guys have ever been to my house, I've got the biggest stone fruits around. Like, these trees are enormous. They're bigger than some orchard trees, and my tree is only like 3 years old, 4 years old, and they're enormous and just producing like you wouldn't believe. So yeah, I wanted to show you guys this, how I plant these. That's about the size hole I do. I showed you the depth that I do. Like I said, it's not as important as the depth as it is the width. So get that depth, at least the pot there. And then, like I said, I'll sometimes put rocks down in the bottom. It really depends on the property and how well that it needs to drain anyway. And that seems to have really, really, really good success. So, all right, guys, thanks for watching. I know this was a little bit of a longer one, but I wanted to show you guys how I do stone fruit here in the valley, because I'm always asked how I get, 3,000 pieces of fruit off of a tree. So this is exactly what I do, guys. All right, thank you for watching.